Hey Cowboys Nation, let's go for another round of news from America's team. Watch until the end so you don't miss any news and sign up to stay tuned for everything that comes out about the Cowboys.
Prescott's replacement in first round. Dak Prescott has led the Dallas Cowboys as the team's QB for the past 8 years, but that could be coming to an end soon. There are already questions about Prescott's future due to the QB not signing a new contract extension, but the Cowboys could make a clear-cut decision to move on in the 2024 NFL Draft. In Bleacher Report's latest round of draft predictions, Brad Gagnon believes the Cowboys will move on from Prescott. In a deep QB draft, Gagnon thinks Dallas could take a QB in the first round. I think Dallas is just about done with Dak Prescott, and in this case, it can apply the ultimate pressure. Recent actions also indicate the Cowboys already think they're good enough to compete in 2024 or are ready to throw in the towel, Gagnon wrote on April 22. In either event, they don't need to draft somebody who is sure to make an immediate impact. If Dallas does want to move on from Prescott next season, this might be the moment to do it. There ought to be QB talent available late into the first round, but they could also take the gamble a step further by trading up to a better selection. Michael Penix Jr. or Bo Nix could be available. Mock drafts are not a great way to get an idea of where players will actually be drafted, but they do typically provide a range. If the Cowboys decide to take a QB, there will likely be 1 or 2 top-tier prospects left. When looking at all of NFL.com's mock drafts, most of them project that at least one of Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr. would be available at the Cowboys' number 24 overall pick. Nix and Penix squared off twice last year in the Pac-12, but both had extremely impressive seasons. Penix led Washington to the CFP National Championship and threw for 4,903 passing yards, 36 touchdowns and 11 interceptions in the process according to Sports Reference. Nix threw for 4,508 passing yards, 45 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Both players seem like they could make the jump to the NFL, but both also have their drawbacks. Penix and Nix are older than your average prospect at 23 and 24 years old respectively. Dak Prescott speaks on Cowboys' future at a Children's Cancer Fund event in Dallas on April 19. Prescott was asked about his future. While he didn't go into immense detail, he did explain his perspective on the situation. "I don't have any fears. I'm not going to say I fear being here or not. I don't fear either situation, to be candid with you," Prescott said, per The Athletic's John Makota. "I love this game. I love to play and love to better myself as a player and my teammates around me." Prescott may be trying to tell the Cowboys that he's not afraid to leave for a new team, but it's unclear. Either way, he will have complete control over the situation. Prescott's current contract has a no-trade clause and no-tag clause. There's little Dallas can do to keep him besides paying him. Cowboys predicted to trade for former 1,100-yard starting RB. There are few teams in the NFL in quite the strange position heading into this year's NFL Draft as the Cowboys. On one hand, this is a team that went 12-5 last year, a team that was a Super Bowl contender for much of the season, a team that has gone 36-15 over the past 3 seasons. On the other hand, it is a team that has been sapped in free agency, that has numerous major holes to fill and needs an influx of talent to maintain their contenders' status. It's a tough needle to thread, but one way the Cowboys could do it is by making trades, potentially sending away late-round picks in exchange for players who have at least proven themselves worthy of getting NFL snaps. And one such player could be on the move this week as the draft approaches: Texans running back Dameon Pierce, who tallied 1,104 yards as a rookie in 2022 before falling out of favor with a new coaching regime last year. In an article titled, "2024 NFL Draft: Realistic Trade Predictions for 6 Veterans Who Could Be Moved During the Draft," Pro Football Focus writer Marcus Mosher predicts that Pierce will be traded, with Dallas as a potential destination. Dameon Pierce struggled in his second season. Pierce is only 24 years old and was a 4th-round pick out of Florida in 2022. He made a name for himself as a rookie, when he rushed for a respectable 939 yards in 13 games, averaging 4.3 yards per carry. He suffered an ankle injury that held him out of the final 4 games of the season. Pierce totaled 4 rushing touchdowns and added 165 yards receiving out of the backfield with another touchdown. The Texans appeared prepared to make him a key part of the offense in 2023, but he lost out on carries to free agent signing Devin Singletary. That makes Pierce, coming off a season in which he averaged only 2.9 yards per carry and played only 32% of the team's snaps, a prime trade candidate for teams that don't land the running back they want in the draft this week. Here's what Marcus Mosher wrote at PFF. The Texans have since added Joe Mixon and rewarded him with a new contract. He will be their starter in 2024 and beyond, but it wouldn't be surprising to see the Texans draft a running back with some speed to complement him. Luckily for Pierce, this is a pretty weak running back class, and there could be a handful of teams looking for a competent starter in the trade market. Teams in need of a starting caliber running back could be interested in flipping a late day 3 pick for Pierce, who best fits a gap scheme. Cowboys currently have Rico Dowdle as lead back. The Cowboys don't have much established in the running game at this point, with starter Tony Pollard having been sent packing in free agency, accepting a deal to join the Titans. His backup, Rico Dowdle, re-signed with the Cowboys, and Dallas has inexperienced players Deuce Vaughn and Royce Freeman behind him. The presumption is that the Cowboys will use a high draft pick on a running back, but with other holes to fill, it might well make more sense to keep their own second or third rounder and instead flip a late pick for a player like Pierce. Pollard needs to be replaced, obviously, and it is unlikely that it will be Dowdle doing so. Maybe Pierce won't be up to the job, either, but as a low-risk gamble with some NFL resume behind him, he may be worth a shot. At long last, the Dallas Cowboys have to show their cards this offseason. I have yet to personally encounter anyone who thought that all in meant anything serious. Do not get me wrong. Jerry Jones said it, and that in and of itself was enough to put some legitimacy into it. But we have all been watching and observing this team, and that individual, for a very long time. We knew better, or we should have, whichever side of that fence you land on. Whatever the case, those two words have dominated the last few months of discussion concerning the Dallas Cowboys and served as the latest bit of meme-ability for the national media to hold the front office accountable for. No free agents signed, letting notable players walk, zero movement on long-term extensions for cornerstone players? All in, all in, all in. It is at best unfortunate for the rest of the team's decision-makers that Jerry Jones added a fresh coat of red paint for the lurking Bulls with his comment, but it is at worst an incredible botching of the effort to build this team to a point that they can reach waters that their boats have not seen in almost 3 decades. The good news is that we are about to find out. At long last, the Dallas Cowboys have to show their cards this offseason. This week brings with it the 2024 NFL Draft and thankfully some much-needed clarity on what the Dallas Cowboys, and every NFL team for that matter, are thinking about a variety of things. As it relates to America's team though, we are finally going to have something, as in literally something, to work backwards for in the name of understanding their plan. Obviously, the high level of inactivity has run counter to Jerry's all-in claim, which makes the idea that this was the plan quite laughable. In response to that, many fans have claimed that the team is clearly tanking and preparing for the future, but they are hardly making decisions pointed in that direction either. While the two external free agents, Eric Kendricks and Royce Freeman, have been signed to 1-year deals that is standard operating procedure for this team, they have yet to restructure contracts in such a serious way that would suggest most eggs were in the basket of the future. There is no obvious North Star that things are pointed towards. But that all changes this week. The Cowboys are going to be forced to do the something that they have opted against for the last month and a half. Be active, either turn in their draft cards or forfeit their picks, and while the temperature of the moment makes the latter feel not entirely impossible, we are going to be able to finally draw a legitimate conclusion about this team soon enough. It is assumed by just about everyone that Dallas will address the offensive line in the first round, and if they do, that will serve as step 1 in the direction of understanding. We will then, assuming this hypothetical, be able to understand just how exactly they are building their new-look trenches. If they take a tackle, then we can start to consider Penn when writing Tyler Smith's name down at left guard, or if they take a center, then TJ Bass might wind up playing a legitimate amount of time in 2024. Again, the point is answers are about to be found one way or another. Generally, we do not have to wait this long to get a proper grip on our favorite team, but better late than never. The pencils are about to be commanded down, and we are going to get a chance to look at what they have been scribbling on their exam for all of this time.